6 minutes left only. The one who was silenced is trying again. It's time. They won't be stopped. There are only 6 minutes left. And no, this is not poetic speech. It is not metaphor, it is not myth, it is not parable. The time clock in the spirit is real, and it is ticking. Heaven's watchtower has sounded the alarm, and those who are aligned in the spirit can already feel it. Time is not waiting. Time is not idle. Time is collapsing into decision. And in these last 6 minutes of divine shift, something is moving, something holy, something urgent, something unstoppable. Once there was a voice that carried fire, a voice that carried blueprints from heaven, a voice that was born with thunder in its bones and rivers in its mouth. That voice was heard once, but not for long, because it was silence, suppressed, benight, not by accident, not by chance. No, the silencing was strategic. It came through betrayal, through manipulation, through systems designed to choke the spirit out of a soul, through the cunning of spiritual warfare masked as good counsel. That voice, it was not weak. It was not wrong. It was simply too alive, too true, too prophetic for the environment it was placed in. But heaven saw. Heaven watched as the fire was pushed underground, as the roar was forced into whisper, as the voice obeyed and disappeared, not because it had nothing to say, but because the spirit instructed it to wait. The obedience looked like defeat. The silence looked like surrender. But in truth, it was consecration, a divine quiet that prepared the vessel for something greater. What looked like the end was only the hiding place of glory. And now the silence breaks. Now the countdown hits 6. And the one who was silenced is trying again. But hear this. This time, they will not be stopped. I, Archangel Michael, sent forth by the commander of heaven's armies, stand over this moment now. I speak as heaven's messenger and protector of prophetic destiny. I shield the reawakening of voices that were buried too soon. I war against the forces that thought silence was victory. And I proclaim this over the one who is listening, the one whose chest is already pounding, the one who knows this word is for them. This message is not for everyone. This is for the silenced. This is for the obedient. This is for those who buried the fire to protect the flame. And I warn you, miss this moment, and you may miss a divine release. Miss this moment, and you may be left behind in the old realm while heaven opens a new one. The spirit is moving again. And this time, it does not knock politely. It thunders. Let the silenced rise. Let the fire bearers return. Let every watcher and whisperer understand. Heaven has restarted the clock, and in 6 minutes, everything changes. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Heaven speaks now. Archangel Michael orders this be heard. Let no distraction drown it. Let no doubt dismiss it. Let no demon distort it. The gates are open. The angels are aligned. The scroll has been unsealed in the spirit. You are not watching this by accident. You were called into this moment. You were summoned. And I, Michael, warrior of heaven, guardian of destiny, protector of the chosen, declare that this word is for you. In the next 6 minutes, your spirit must respond. Hear me clearly. Not your emotions, not your opinions, not your preferences. Your spirit. The eternal part of you. The ancient part of you that knew God before time, that agreed to the mission before birth, that wept in silence when your voice was taken. That part of you must rise now, Something is stirring. Something that cannot be seen with the eyes, but is shaking the realm of the invisible. A sound is rising. A sound not from a crowd, not from a platform, but from the buried, from the bruised, from the silenced, from the one they tried to bury. Yes, the one who walked away with dignity while others conspired behind closed doors. The one who knew when to hold back when the fire burned. The one who obeyed God when everything screamed to speak. That one. You. This is not a message you stumbled upon. This is a message that found you. It hunted for you through the algorithm. It pierced through timelines and notifications. It outran delays, distractions, and deceptions, because your spirit called for it. This word has been looking for your ears. This truth has been chasing your eyes. Because heaven wrote your name into this hour. And now, the shaking begins. Goosebumps rise across your skin not because you are afraid, but because your spirit is aligning. Your heart races, not from anxiety, but from divine recognition. This is the sound your soul has longed for in the silence. This is the resonance of the kingdom inside of you. You're not just watching. You are being watched over. You're not just receiving. You are being reignited. For heaven has sent reinforcement, and the sound of heaven is awakening your DNA. This is not the time to doubt what you feel. This is not the time to reason away what is sacred. This is holy ground. Silence is ending. Voices are returning. The cave is cracking. The wilderness is shifting. The grave that held the sound is losing its power. And listen carefully now. You are watching this because you are part of this. You are not an observer. You are a carrier. You are not just a witness, you are a weapon. The Spirit is calling every buried voice to rise. The trumpet is sounding in the unseen. And if your heart is trembling, if your breath is short, if your spirit is pressing forward, it's because your voice is being remembered by heaven. They tried to erase the sound. They tried to bury the fire. They tried to shame you into silence. But they did not count on this, that the same silence they thought would smother you would become your strength. They did not know that heaven would mark your restraint as righteousness, that heaven would prepare your voice in the quiet, that while they mocked, you were being mentored by angels. While they shamed you, you were being sharpened. While they moved on, thinking they won, God was storing oil inside your bones. And now the Spirit moves again. But this time, with uncontainable force. Hear me. I speak not with suggestion, but with celestial command. I speak not from inspiration, but from divine mandate. If you feel the trembling inside of you, if your bones ache with knowing, then the Spirit is confirming this word. You have been silenced, but now you will sound. You have been hidden, but now you will rise. This is not the revival of ego. This is the resurrection of obedience. And nothing can stop what heaven has sealed. So let the watchers tremble. Let the accusers stammer. Let the manipulators scatter. Because the one they silenced is not coming back the same. The one they silenced is not begging for space. They are commanding it. The one they silenced has heaven behind their breath. And every time you speak now, the realm of darkness will shake. This is not a suggestion. This is a summoning. This is not a possibility. This is a prophetic reversal. They tried to end you, but God paused you. And now, heaven reactivates you. Be still no longer. To be. Oh. Rise. You have 6 minutes to choose alignment. And then everything changes. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. They tried to erase the truth. They tried to write you out of the story, out of the memory, out of the movement. But what they failed to understand, what darkness still cannot comprehend, is that truth does not die when it's buried. It grows deeper. It grows louder. It multiplies in silence. It echoes beneath the ground until the shaking above cannot hold it back. You were not just silenced. You were deliberately erased. Not because you were weak. Not because you were wrong. But because you carried something too dangerous to their deception. Truth. There were secret watchers. Whispers behind doors. Words twisted in closed rooms where your name was discussed, dissected, and dismissed. People who saw you drowning in silence and turned their heads. Not because they didn't hear you, but because they chose not to respond. Because your voice disrupted their false peace. Because your presence unsettled their structures. Because you carried something holy they were not willing to confront. Let the truth speak now. They saw your worth. They knew your value. They discerned your power. That is why they shut the door in your face. That is why they erased your credit. That is why they turned you into a threat instead of a vessel. You weren't silenced because you had nothing to say. You were silenced because what you had to say would have changed everything. It would have exposed lies. It would have broken cycles. It would have shifted atmospheres. So they covered you in shadow. They labeled you too much. They called you unstable. They dressed their fear in false wisdom and called it protection. But it wasn't. It was suppression. And now heaven is lifting the veil. Your heart remembers what your voice forgot. That ache you've been feeling. That tension. That unrest. It's not anxiety. It's memory. It's the memory of your spirit calling out from the days when you burned with a truth too heavy to carry alone. It's the cry from the part of you that once roared, until life, people, religion, betrayal, and disappointment taught you how to whisper. And now, it rises again. A holy restlessness. A divine discontent. You can't sleep because something is coming alive. You can't be still because something is breaking loose. You know what this is. You've been here before. The edge of breakthrough, the edge of eruption. And it's not fear you're feeling. It's the tremble of resurrection. The fire is finding its voice again. Let the questions arise now. Who was silenced? Why now? Why this moment? Why this urgency? Because heaven never signed off on your exile. Because God never agreed with your erasure. Because what they tried to kill is the very thing God is about to use. They think they won. They think you gave up. They think the fire is gone. But they forgot. Heaven writes in eternal ink. Destiny is not erased by delay. Anointing is not revoked by the opinions of men. You did not die in the silence. You multiplied. What was broken in you became oil. What was shamed in you became strength. What was taken from you became sacred space. And now, that space is being filled with divine thunder. Not just for you, but through you. Because your voice was never meant to be alone. It was always the unlocking of many others. Your sound is a key. Your return is a trumpet blast. And when you speak this time, they will hear you in the heavens and the hells alike. But first, the tension must break. Let the holy unrest disrupt you. Let the tears fall, not of grief but of remembrance. Let the shaking come, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because the silenced one is not just a person. The silenced one is a remnant, a company, A family of voices that were buried in obedience, covered in fire, and now being raised with unrelenting purpose. This is your confirmation. You are not crazy. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. What you're feeling is not confusion. It's alignment. What you're sensing is not instability. It's the shift. The weight inside your chest, the pounding in your ribcage, the electricity in your limbs, that is the Spirit awakening you. You are a holy disruption. You are the prophecy they tried to mute. And you will not be stopped this time. Heaven is not asking for your permission. It is announcing your return. And now I speak not just to your ears, but to your atmosphere. To every force that tried to bury you, the barrel is broken. To every lie that tried to define you, the lie is burning. To every voice that tried to diminish yours, you are rising above the noise. You will feel uncomfortable until you align. You will feel the stretching until you say yes again. You will feel the fire again because your silence has expired. You're not just coming back to speak. You're coming back to set things free. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for regular prophetic insight, exclusive content, and divine encouragement that keeps your spirit aligned. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. You must understand this now. What happened to you wasn't personal. It felt personal. It bled like betrayal. It stung like abandonment. It made you question your value, your identity, your discernment. But in the spirit, it was never about you. The war wasn't against your name. The war was against your sound. Against what you carry. Against what you are designed to release. The real target has always been the flow, the divine river that pours through your voice when you are fully aligned with heaven. What silenced you wasn't coincidence. It was warfare. It was spiritual sabotage. It was a carefully calculated strike sent by an enemy who studied your pattern, who tracked your rise, and who understood what you didn't yet know about yourself, that your voice was dangerous to darkness. Not because of volume, but because of truth. Not because of position, but because of bless you. You walked in obedience when others walked in ambition. You carried conviction where others carried compromise. And that made you lethal to every structure built on ego, control, and false alignment. This is why you were silenced. This is why they turned on you. Because you didn't just carry noise, you carried destiny. You didn't just share ideas, you shook atmospheres. Your presence alone made liars uncomfortable. You walked in rooms, and the hidden things began to tremble. They said you were intense. They said you were too much. But really, they couldn't handle the Holy Spirit that walked in with you. They couldn't dominate you. They couldn't dilute you. So they did the next best thing. They tried to shut you down. But here is the truth, and you must hold this with both hands now. They did not just try to silence a person. They tried to mute a movement. They tried to suppress a spiritual frequency. They thought they were pushing out a problem. What they were really doing was creating a deeper anointing. They forced silence, but God used it as sanctification. They stripped your platform, but God used it as a place of preparation. Hear me. The obedience that looked like loss was your greatest protection. You were never silenced because you were weak. You were silenced because the enemy saw what was coming through you. Because the voice you carry is not just sound, it is seed. Every word you've been chosen to speak plants something eternal in the hearts of those assigned to you. Every message, every truth, every testimony carries kingdom weight, and that is why hell invested so heavily in shutting you down. You weren't just inconvenient, you were unstoppable. But heaven, in its wisdom, allowed the silence, not as punishment, but as positioning. Because when you rise this time, it won't be from emotion, it will be from encounter. When you speak this time, it won't be to impress, it will be to ignite. Yes, the silence hurt. Yes, the exile was painful. But you didn't die in the wilderness. You didn't lose your fire. You were being taught the language of authority and obscurity. Because God doesn't raise voices in spotlights, He raises them in shadows. And now the shadow season is ending. You must know this. When you rise again, the war will intensify. Because now you are not just a threat, you are a testimony of resurrection. You are proof that heaven cannot be cancelled. You are evidence that what God silences temporarily, He resurrects with double power. And that's why this return will be different. That's why the enemy is already trembling. Because this time, you're not returning to please people. You're not returning for applause. You are rising with a sword in your mouth and a scroll in your soul. You've been framed for rebellion. You've been accused of pride. You've been misunderstood by those who never took the time to see your heart. But heaven sees, and heaven knows, and heaven has appointed this hour, not to explain, but to establish. You owe no one an apology for surviving. You owe no one an explanation for returning. You were chosen to rise. And this time, you will not be silenced again. You are not returning as you were. You are not returning to rebuild what was. You are returning to unleash what has never been seen before. Heaven allowed the silence so that revival could roar louder. Heaven held you back so your voice would pierce deeper. Heaven stripped the old so it could release the new sound, and that sound is inside of you. You are no longer just the vessel. You are the trumpet. You are the call. You are the awakening. This conflict you've endured, this exile you've walked through, it is not just about survival. It is about spiritual inheritance. It is about heaven's kingdom advancing through you. And now that you return, you carry not just a word, but a weight, a mantle, a mission. And nothing can stop what flows from a yielded, fire-baptized vessel. So I say it now with divine clarity. The silenced one is not forgotten. The silenced one is a chosen vessel, appointed, anointed, and unstoppable. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. In the next 6 minutes, something shifts in the spirit. You feel it already, don't you? The static in the air, the rumble in your bones, the sense that time has tightened. It's not your imagination. It's not paranoia. It's prophetic precision. The spiritual realm is converging with the natural, and heaven has begun to stir the waters again. This is not just another moment. This is an appointed collision, a threshold, a veil thinning between what was and what's about to be. And the shift is not coming. It has already begun. I speak now with holy gravity. Let every soul who hears be awakened. Let every sleeping spirit rise. Let every voice that was silenced prepare to sound. Because someone is coming back to finish what was started. And this time, it will not be done in silence. This time, it will not be hidden behind obedience that bends too far into fear. This time, the fire will not whisper, it will consume. The one who was buried is walking back into the place they were cast out from, not with bitterness, not with revenge, but with an undeniable authority that cannot be stopped. The Spirit of the Lord declares, you are not rising into chaos, you are rising into confrontation. There is a reckoning underway. Here is a sound that must be released into the atmosphere that once rejected you. Not because you want revenge, but because heaven wants order. Truth must confront lies. Righteousness must confront what has been allowed to fester in silence. And within the next 72 hours, the confrontation will begin. Not with shouts, not with swords, but with truth that cannot be manipulated and power that cannot be imitated. There are names you've seen in dreams, faces that come to you in the midnight hours, rooms you've walked into in your sleep. These are not coincidences. These are prophetic previews. God has been showing you what will be addressed, what must be uprooted, and what must be spoken. You have walked in the halls of heaven while your body rested. You have been briefed in your spirit. You've been shown timelines, numbers, names, locations, some of which you don't understand yet. But trust this, the confrontation is spiritual before it ever becomes visible. You've already been in the war. This is just the moment of unveiling. And yes, the enemy is aware. And yes, the enemy is terrified. Because you're no longer trying to be accepted. You're no longer trying to belong to places that God used silence to remove you from. You're no longer begging for a platform. You're building a throne for God's glory. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. All you need is alignment, and that's what this hour demands. The realms of darkness are trembling. There are spiritual tremors in places that thought they buried you for good. There are demonic structures being destabilized by your reawakening. There are ancient strongholds unraveling because they sense what's coming. You are not returning alone. You're bringing heaven with you. The sound you carry is laced with thunder. The words you release will shake systems. And the presence you bring into a room will announce justice, whether anyone acknowledges it or not. But hear me, not all can know what's next yet. There is a divine strategy in the silence. This next phase will not be exposed to the curious. It will not be accessible to the watchers. It is for the remnant. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. For those who obey in the unknown. For those who walk even when the map is missing. You must hold your oil tightly. Guard your instructions. Because what is being revealed to you is not for public display. It is for divine execution. This is not about a combat. It's about a commission. This is not about being seen. It's about being sent. You are a weapon formed in obscurity, and now released with divine velocity. You don't have time for small talk. You don't have time to explain what God is doing. You don't have time to defend your fire. You have been summoned. The orders are clear. The clock is moving. In these next 6 minutes, in the Spirit, heaven is opening a window. For some, it will be a visitation. For others, it will be confirmation. For many, it will be a supernatural push back into alignment. Don't delay. Don't analyze. Don't miss it trying to make sense of it. If your spirit knows, move. There will be divine encounters, unexpected messages, sudden invitations, conversations that unlock what's been dormant. Don't dismiss them. Don't question them. Recognize the hand of God and respond. Because the trumpet isn't just sounding for you, it's sounding through you. This is a holy alert. This is a prophetic warning. You don't have time to doubt anymore. You don't have the luxury of indecision. You've been prepared. You've been appointed. You've been processed. And now, you've been activated. Everything you've lost, everything they tried to kill, everything that has been brewing in the silence, it's now a weapon. And it's time to be released. Heaven has cleared the path. The earth is shifting. The enemy is trembling. And you are rising. Type "I am awakened" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now unlocking your next season. Be still now. The wind is rising, but your silence is not weakness. It is warfare. Your quiet is not retreat. It is divine positioning. In this hour of spiritual acceleration, many will rush to speak, to shout, to prove. But you must resist the urge to explain, defend, or react. Because the Holy Spirit is saying, the silence that once marked your exile is now your greatest shield. And the one who was silenced is no longer being muted by others. They are being hidden by God. Heaven has entered protective mode around you. And I, Michael, commander of the warring hosts, have drawn a sword around your circumference. The enemy cannot touch what hath been marked by divine silence. You are not being ignored. You are being preserved. You are not out of the game. You are in the inner chambers. Let no confusion corrupt your clarity in this hour. Heaven is building strategy, and silence is the soil it's growing in. You see, the noise around you is a trap. It's meant to distract you, to lure you out of the secret place, to bait you back into old cycles. But the noise is just that, noise. Loud, hollow, fleeting. Do not chase it. Do not answer it. Because what you are carrying now is too sensitive, too holy, too weighty to be paraded before premature eyes. This is not the time to be seen. This is the time to stay hidden until heaven says, now. Silence is not absence. It is awareness. It is maturity. It is the spiritual posture of those who understand that real power does not panic. You are not being passive. You are being exact. Every moment in the spirit is being measured now. Every step must be aligned. You cannot afford reaction. You need revelation. And revelation comes in stillness, in watching, in waiting, in remaining postured before the throne. Do not confuse your calling with movement. You are not late. You are not behind. You are being moved like a chess piece by the hand of the Almighty. Every delay, every detour, every season of silence was calculated. You were not buried to die. You were planted to grow roots deeper than any storm could reach. And now that the storm is here, you are grounded in divine resolve. Stand still. Hands open. Eyes closed to the noise. Heart guarded from the warfare that parades as opportunity. This is the posture of power. Heaven does not scream to be heard. It speaks in fire, in wind, in whisper. And right now, that whisper is calling you inward. Not to hide, but to prepare. Not to shrink, but to stabilize. Because when you move next, it will not be a step, it will be a strike. And that strike must come from alignment, not adrenaline. I speak this now as one sent to protect the vessels of fire. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not passed over. You are hidden in plain sight. And what is hidden by heaven cannot be handled by man until the appointed hour. This is why the doors didn't open. This is why the platform shifted. This is why the spotlight disappeared. Because God never wanted to display a half-formed flame. He wanted to release a consuming fire. And now that fire is almost ready. But not yet. Hold the line. Resist the urge to announce yourself. Resist the pressure to prove your return. You have nothing to prove. You have already passed the test. You survived the wilderness. You trusted through silence. You obeyed when no one clapped. And that obedience is now your covering. So pray. Not just casually but deeply. Pray in the Spirit. Pray without words. Let the groanings of the hidden season rise again. Let your spirit intercede for what your mouth is not yet permitted to speak. Let the angels circle around you as heaven finalizes what will be revealed next. Watch it. Not through the eyes of flesh, but through discernment. Watch who approaches. Watch who lingers. Watch who suddenly remembers you. This is a season of testing motives. Not everyone who returns to you now is aligned with what's rising in you. Some only remember you from your silence season, and they cannot comprehend the fire-forged vessel you've become. Guard your gates. Guard your ears, your eyes, your time. Not in fear, but in wisdom. The enemy would love to distract you with small fires so you miss the inferno heaven is preparing. But you are wiser now. You are more aware now. You are stronger, sharper, sealed. So speak only when heaven says. Move only when heaven sends. Reveal only what heaven releases. Because this battle is not about proving you're back. It's about preserving what's been born in silence. You are surrounded now. Not by men, but by heaven's hosts. Michael stands at your gates. Angels are stationed in every direction. The scroll with your name on it hath been reopened, and your steps are now under divine guard. Let no voice shake your confidence. Let no whisper shake your posture. Let no offer tempt you from alignment. You are covered. You are shielded. And you are seconds away from divine unveiling. So rest. But stay ready. Be still. But stay alert. Remain hidden. But know, you are being watched by heaven. Type I am hidden for glory in the comments if this word is yours. Blessing code 7777 is now covering your journey. It's time now. Time to breathe differently. Time to walk differently. Time to remember who you are, not as the wounded, not as the cast aside, not as the one whose sound was taken, but as the fire that could not be quenched. You've walked through the silence. You've obeyed in obscurity. You sat with your hands tied and your heart burning. But now you are not the same. You are not who they remember. You are not who the enemy trained his attacks for. You are more. You're not the wounded voice anymore. That version of you died in the wilderness. That identity was burned away in the fire of secrecy and sanctification. What rose from the ashes is something unrecognizable to the people who once thought they understood you. They remember your tears, but not the transformation. They remember your silence, but not the sanctuary it built inside of you. They remember your withdrawal, but not the wild glory God was forging in your soul. You do not walk with a limp now. You walk with lightning in your steps. In the silence, you became fire. Yes, the exile was brutal. Yes, the isolation was deep. But you did not waste it. You leaned into it. You dug in. You listened. You wept until heaven responded. And while no one saw it on the surface, inside of you, a weapon was forming. A spiritual combustion chamber. Your cries created combustion. Your waiting built oil. And now, you burn differently. You speak differently. You see differently. The difference is not cosmetic. It's cosmic. There is authority now that cannot be taught. There is discernment now that cannot be mimicked. You see through layers. You feel shifts in the unseen. You carry weight. The weight of what you survived. The weight of what you swallowed. The weight of words you held because heaven said, "Not yet." And now that the hour has come, the Spirit whispers not to return but to rise. You are not returning to rebuild what was. You are not trying to resurrect the old platforms, the old circles, the old patterns, because you outgrew those in silence. You are rising to build something new, something sacred, something unshakable. And this time, you will not do it for validation. You will do it from vision. You are not coming back to be seen. You are emerging to be sent. They remember who you were, but they don't know who you became. The version of you that they silenced is gone. What remains is refined, resistant to manipulation, rooted in truth, and radiant with unshakable purpose. You carry a different sound now. Not the sound of one looking to fit in, but the sound of one who has become a sound, a trumpet, a blast, a release of divine intention in human form. You are not timid. You are not fragile. You are not apologizing for what God has done in you. When you speak now, chains will break, not because of volume, but because of alignment. When you speak now, the atmosphere will shift, not because of presence, but because of power. And that power is holy. That power is hard-won. That power is prophetic. The anointing that rests on you now is not a gift. It is a consequence. The consequence of silence. The consequence of sacrifice. The consequence of refusing to turn bitter when no one believed you. And now, that anointing will bust anything not in covenant with God's plan for your life. Do not be surprised when things fall off. Do not mourn what can't continue. Some cannot follow you because their version of you has expired. The version they needed to control, contain, or correct no longer exists. The fire consumed that form. And what walks forward now is the vessel of heaven's decree. Your wings spread in the darkness. While they thought you were broken, you were building. While they said you lost, heaven said you learned. While they said you failed, God said, "Watch this resurrection." You did not die. You molted. You shed the skin of acceptance. You laid down the garments of striving. And now you rise in garments of fire, clothed in authority, mantled with mystery. You were not created to blend. You were afforded to burn. This rising is not emotional. It is eternal. You are not reacting. You are responding. Responding to the call. Responding to the trumpet. Responding to the echo that was placed in your spirit before time began. And now that it has activated, nothing can put it back to sleep. This is not ego. This is encounter. This is not performance. This is prophecy. You are not coming back. You are rising. And when you rise, you carry us with you. Every voice that was silenced, every heart that was broken, every dream that was laughed at, every person who watched this and thought, "This is me. This is my word." You rise on behalf of the entire remnant. Let the fire spread now. Let the silence turn into songs. Let the one silenced voice become the voice of many waters. Because when you speak this time, you are not asking for a seat. You are building a throne for the King to dwell. Type "I am rising" in the comments if you feel this shift. Lesson code 999 is igniting boldness in you now. Heaven has been waiting for this moment. The throne has been watching in perfect stillness. The scroll has not left the altar. The ink has not faded. The oil has not dried. It hath been waiting, patiently, precisely, powerfully, for you to reach this hour. This exact hour. Because while men forgot your name, heaven never did. While others questioned your worth, heaven kept the record. And the scroll they tried to rip from your hands is still in your possession. Yes, you. The one they disqualified. The one they dismissed. The one they said was unstable, emotional, too loud, too much, too soon. They tried to convince you that silence meant defeat. That being hidden meant being forgotten. That exile was evidence of failure. But heaven says no. I kept them for myself. I preserved their voice for this moment. Because the one who was silenced carries something deeper than a message. They carry heaven's scroll. And that scroll is about to be read aloud. This is not ordinary revelation. This is not casual insight. This is prophetic thunder, delayed in time, but destined in eternity. What you carry is not for claps or crowns. It is for activation. You carry words that wake up dormant spirits. You carry fire that convicts systems that have grown cold. You carry wind that calls dry bones into formation. You carry keys, and those keys are unlocking the gates that have kept others bound in spiritual exile. You are not just a voice. You are a divine appointment. Your trials weren't just painful. They were prophetic. Your silence wasn't just lonely. It was divine language. Your suffering wasn't just emotional. It was spiritual strategy. Every tear you cried, every hour you spent in agony, every night you whispered into the dark, heaven counted them. And now, the revelation is this. You were being trained for this triumph. You see, the assignment was never about what they could see. The assignment was about what only heaven could hear. And while people judged your delay, the angels were preparing your dispatch. You were never late. You were being refined. You weren't forgotten. You were being hidden for glory. And now the time has come. The alarm in the spirit has gone off. The veil has lifted. And the ones who carry heaven's scrolls are being summoned into position. You will not speak from memory. You will speak from fire. You will not act from fear. You will act from authority. Because you were not just called. You were sealed. Heaven has placed its mark upon you, and no power in hell can remove what God has branded. And now, as the seal breaks open, so does your visibility. So does your voice. So does the vault of heaven's favor. Let it be known now. What they tried to silence, God is now amplifying. What they rejected, God is now revealing. What they tried to bury, God is promoting in plain sight. You will receive messages that confirm this. Opportunities that defy logic. Alignments that form quickly. Favor that accelerates unnaturally. These are not accidents. These are not coincidences. These are divine appointments, locked into your timeline by the very scroll they tried to strip from your hand. And here is the mystery unveiled. Your voice is not just your healing. It is the unlocking of many others. You are the ignition. You are the flint. You are the match. And when you rise, others will follow. When you speak, others will waken. You will see it. People who were stuck will shift. People who were blind will see. People who were ready to quit will catch flame again. Because your return is a signal in the spirit. And the signal is this: it is time. The buried ones are rising. The silenced ones are speaking. The hidden scrolls are being released. Heaven remembers your name. Heaven remembers the silence they forced on you. Heaven remembers the moments you obeyed when you could have fought. Heaven remembers when you laid down your right, to be heard, to be seen. Heaven remembers, and now, heaven rewards. This return is not just emotional. This is spiritual assignment in motion. You've been activated by timing, not talent. You've been summoned by purpose, not popularity. You're not here to impress. You're here to intercede, intervene, and ignite. Because the time is short, the veil is thin, and heaven needs your voice, your hands, your spirit fully engaged. This scroll belongs to you, not because of what you've done, but because of what you refused to do. You refused to give up. You refused to retaliate. You refused to curse what God was still using. And because of that, you are now trusted with the sound of revival. Speak. Release it. This is your assignment. This is your hour. This is your scroll. And heaven stands behind it. If this word has hit your spirit and you feel the thunder stirring, would you consider supporting our message? A super thanks of $10 goes a long way to help us keep spreading prophetic words to those who need to hear. Every voice we reach matters. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel for regular words of fire, breakthrough guidance, and spiritual insight to keep you aligned in this rising hour. Type "I carry the scroll" in the comments if this is your season. Blessing code 2020 is activating divine appointments now. It's time to move. No more delay. No more waiting for external approval. No more asking permission from people who never understood the weight you carried. The gate is open, but your yes is the key. Heaven has already opened the realm. The scroll is unsealed. The path is marked. The anointing is alive inside your bones. But without your activation, without your agreement, without your full-bodied, spirit-fueled yes, it remains untouched potential. This is the moment to decide. Will you step into what was always yours? Or will you let the fear of being silenced again steal the fullness of your release? You must speak again. Write again. Build again. The time for hesitation is over. You've wrestled long enough with the fear of failure, of rejection, of what if it happens again. But hear this. You will not be silenced again. That cycle is broken. That curse is reversed. That season is over. You are not walking into a replay, you are walking into a recommissioning. The enemy tried to convince you that your silence was permanent, that your voice was forgotten, that your gift had expired. But the truth, heaven was storing up double oil in your stillness, and now it's time to pour. You waited long enough. You've mourned long enough. You sat in self-doubt long enough. Now, your obedience must speak louder than your fear. This next move won't be birthed in comfort. It will be birthed in boldness. You must step. You must write. You must initiate the conversation. You must email, build, record, launch, not because it's easy, but because you were born for it. You weren't chosen to wait on their validation. You were chosen to carry heaven's blueprint. And when heaven trusts you with a scroll, heaven expects movement. This isn't about ego. This is about impact. You are anointed for influence, but the influence must begin with action. It starts with your yes. Not a whispered yes. Not a hesitant yes. But a yes that pierces dimensions. A yes that unlocks doors. A yes that wakes up everything that's been lying dormant inside of you. Because what's rising in you now is not the same sound as before. It's not the voice of one trying to be heard. It's the voice of one who knows they are commissioned. Declare it now. I will not be silenced again. Say it with your chest. Say it with your scars. Say it with the strength of every night you wept in secret. Let that declaration reverberate through your history and into your future. Because when you say it, something breaks. When you say it, something shifts. When you say it, the heavens align, and the chains of the past begin to fall off your identity. This is more than speech. This is activation. The hesitation was real, but now the urgency is louder. The tug in your spirit isn't anxiety, it's divine appointment knocking. The dreams you keep seeing aren't nostalgia. They are blueprints from God waiting to be obeyed. A pull to speak. It's not just expression, it's healing for a generation. A nudge to build again. It's not delusion, it's legacy awakening. You don't need the crowd. You don't need their likes or shares. You don't even need the same stage they took from you. Because the voice rising now carries heaven's thunder. And thunder doesn't need an invitation to shake the skies. Your voice has been refined in the silence, not to entertain, but to uproot, rebuild, release. And this time, the world won't know what hit it. Because you are not just speaking, you are releasing kingdom frequency. Hit the pen. Open the document. Record the video. Revisit the plan. Touch the vision. Call the person. Write the email. Send the proposal. Build the altar. Start the podcast. Share the word. Move and watch what follows. Because once your obedience moves into the atmosphere, heaven responds with acceleration. The right people. The right resources. The divine favor. It will rush in, but only after your yes. The enemy hoped your silence would paralyze your destiny. But your silence only intensified your anointing. Now, you don't move like a beginner. You move like a breaker. You don't operate like a victim, you operate like a vessel. You're not just returning. You're rebuilding sacred ruins. And when you move, the foundations of systems, cities, and souls will shift. No more delay. No more second-guessing. No more replaying what was lost. This is your hour to rise with spiritual resolve. Not to fit in. Not to play it safe. But to ignite the earth with what heaven whispered to you in the dark. And no, you don't need their permission. All you need is your alignment. So rise. Let your yes echo into eternity. Let it be known to heaven and hell alike. You are moving forward, fully awakened, fully anointed, and completely unafraid. Type SAYYES in the comments if this is your moment. Lesson code 444 is activating rapid movement and spiritual obedience. Let this be known now in the courts of heaven and across the battlegrounds of the Spirit. While they slandered, heaven recorded. While they dismissed you, overlooked you, belittled you, angels documented everything. Not a sigh was missed. Not a tear was wasted. Not a single act of silent obedience went unseen by the one who rules from the throne of fire. For every word they whispered in the shadows, heaven etched a promise in the light. Every time they pushed you out, heaven pulled you closer. What was spoken in gossip, heaven exchanged for glory. You see, in the natural realm it looked like loss. But in the realm of the Spirit, it was transaction. While you were being misunderstood on earth, you were being repositioned in eternity. While your name was slandered on lips of men, it was being written in golden ink upon angelic scrolls. There was an exchange happening, and though it was silent, it was holy. God took your muted seasons and traded them for weight and glory. He took the voice they buried and exchanged it for revelation they cannot access. He took your pain and gave you precision. And here's what the Spirit now makes known. Your name has been spoken in rooms your feet have never entered. Angels have carried your identity before the throne, not because you fought for it, but because you remained still. While others raced for recognition, you were wrapped in secrecy. While others performed, you persisted in silence. And now the silence has spoken louder than any stage ever could. Because heaven does not honor the noise of man, heaven honors the sound of yielded obedience. There was a silent exchange, a trade made not with hands but with surrender. In that place of confusion, where you questioned if God forgot you, He was writing your next season. When you were passed by, something eternal passed to you. You traded reputation for revelation. You traded platforms for presence. You traded applause for anointing. And though it cost you visibility in one realm, it bought you authority in another. You don't even realize yet how much was handed to you when you chose not to respond to slander. When you chose silence over revenge. When you let God defend what man tried to destroy. Now listen closely. Your name is being negotiated by angels even now. I speak this not symbolically, but prophetically. They are preparing alignments, assignments, transitions, openings. Kingdom blueprints are being adjusted to accommodate your obedience. There are meetings scheduled in the Spirit. Appointments heaven has placed on your timeline. Names are being whispered in rooms you didn't know existed. These are not ordinary opportunities. They are divine recompense. The pain you endured was not for pity. It was for positioning. You now walk with heaven's eyes watching over your every step. The exchange was sealed in the silence. Your stillness has authorized movement in realms unseen. What you thought was stillness was actually surrounding. What you assumed was emptiness was actually angelic warfare. While you cried, they warred. While you grieved, they guarded. And now they are beginning to release what they protected. This is why you felt uneasy. This is why your sleep has been interrupted. This is why you've walked with a sense of anticipation you couldn't explain. Your spirit has already heard what your mind is just now beginning to catch. Something hath been activated in the unseen. Something that makes the atmosphere tremble when you wake up. Something that causes the enemy to panic every time you worship. Because your voice, the one they silenced, now carries the evidence of the exchange. They took your platform, but God gave you portals. They stole your influence, but heaven gave you insight. They mocked your silence, but God embedded His strategies inside of it. What you lost publicly, you gained privately. And what you gained in the Spirit, no one can take. Now it rises. Slowly at first. Quietly at first. But undeniably, inevitably, it rises. That weight. That wisdom. That what? That voice. You don't sound like you used to. You don't move like you did. Because the person who comes out of a divine exchange does not return as the same version that went in. You come out marked, mantled, and from this point on, you will carry a silence that speaks louder than shouting, a presence that cannot be explained by titles, a fire that does not need promotion to consume. Because heaven has honored the trade, heaven has endorsed your silence, and now heaven will showcase the reward. So guard this. Don't rush to reveal what heaven has only begun to expose. Stay quiet until the Spirit says speak. Stay hidden until the cloud moves. Because what has been forged in silence must be released in timing. But let your soul be at peace. Let your spirit rejoice. Because nothing was wasted. Not one season. Not one betrayal. Not one moment of restraint. You were never being silenced. You were being shifted. You were never being forgotten. You were being fortified. And now, the shift is visible. Type "I receive" the exchange in the comments if this word confirms your inner knowing. Blessing code 3030 is now releasing visible favor after hidden warfare. Justice is coming. Not the justice of man, which is frail and delayed, but the justice of God, which is precise, undeniable, and swift. Hear me clearly. Those who conspired will watch the coronation. They will watch as heaven lifts what they tried to bury. They will watch as the voice they mocked becomes the trumpet they cannot ignore. They will watch as the one they raced becomes the cornerstone of a movement they are not permitted to enter. For heaven has declared a divine reversal. And when heaven reverses a thing, no flesh can resist it, and no force can undo it. You see, God does not forget. He does not overlook the betrayal. He does not dismiss the pain. He does not ignore the rooms where your name was shamed, where your motives were questioned, where your heart was misjudged. Every crooked tongue was heard. Every hidden agenda was seen. Every moment of manipulation, every word of sabotage, every network of gossip, it was all weighed in the scales of heaven. And now the scales are tipping. The time has come for spiritual justice to be executed. Heaven is balancing the scales. Heaven is restoring what was stolen. Heaven is reversing the decree that others thought was final. They said it was over. They said you were done. They signed the dismissal, sealed the exile, closed the chapter. But God never signed it. And because heaven never approved it, heaven is overturning it. What they declared as your end was only God's pause before the trumpet. And now the trumpet is sounding. Now the gavel of heaven is falling. Now the divine courtroom is in session. You've waited long. You've endured much. You kept your mouth shut when everything in you wanted to scream. You honored people who dishonored you. You served in spaces that silenced you. You gave when you were empty. You showed up when no one clapped. And now, the reward is not coming. The reward is here. This is not the season of your explanation. This is the season of your vindication. You won't have to defend yourself. You won't have to explain your obedience. You won't have to clarify what happened in those silent years. Because God is about to speak on your behalf. And when He speaks, even your enemies will be forced to admit, this was the Lord's doing. The low becomes lifted. The outcast becomes the chosen. The cast aside becomes the crowned. And not in secret, in public, before their eyes. This is divine reversal. This is the turning of the tables. This is the announcement that heaven remembers what men tried to delete. They tried to bury you with silence, but God is raising you with sound. They tried to erase your influence, but heaven is exalting your assignment. And when God exalts, He is not fragile. It is not limited. It is not up for debate. It is final. This reversal is not just personal. It is prophetic. It will touch the lives of those who carry the same story, the silenced, the hidden, the misjudged, the ones who obeyed while it cost everything. Your rising will break open space for others to rise with you. Your vindication will speak to generations who thought their voice was lost forever. You are not just being honored. You are being multiplied. The sound of your justice will echo beyond your own journey. It will become a rhythm of release across nations, cities, platforms, and families. Because the voice they tried to stop has become an anthem of redemption. So don't waste energy on revenge. Don't waste breath trying to tell your side. Heaven is telling it for you. And the way God tells it, there will be no confusion. The oil on your life will be undeniable. The favor that surrounds you will be unexplainable. The acceleration you walk in will be supernatural. People will wonder how you rose so quickly. But those who understand the rhythm of heaven will know you didn't rise quickly. You rose on time. This is not favor for show. This is favor for assignment. You are being raised not for vanity, but for victory. You are being placed not just on platforms, but in positions of influence and impact. Because your vindication is also your weapon. Every space you walk into now carries the proof that God honors silence, protects the obedient, and promotes the faithful. And you, yes, you, are living proof that when heaven speaks, no man can silence it again. So rise. Rise while they whisper. Rise while they wonder. Rise while they regret. But don't look back. Don't prove yourself. Don't bow to their curiosity. Just walk in what's already been declared. You are chosen. You are crowned. You are commissioned. Nothing can stop the voice heaven reawakens. Nothing can undo the justice God is now releasing. And nothing can silence what God himself has anointed to speak. If this word resonates, and you want to be part of sustaining this fire-filled, prophetic message movement, consider giving a super thanks. Even a seed of $5 helps us continue pouring revelation to the remnant. Your support is fuel to the assignment. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating via PayPal using the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe to this channel for prophetic insight, spiritual warnings, and divine instructions that will keep you empowered and equipped in this rising hour. Type "I am vindicated" in the comments if this word marks your turnaround. Blessing code 8181 is releasing justice and reversal upon your destiny. 6 minutes ago, silence ruled. 6 minutes ago, your voice still felt trapped in yesterday's ashes. 6 minutes ago, your spirit questioned whether the fire would ever return. But now, fire speaks. Now, heaven has confirmed what your soul whispered through sleepless nights. And now, the trumpet has sounded across realms and marked your moment. The shift has not just begun, it has consumed. And the one who was silenced, the one whose name was wiped from memory, whose gift was buried, whose identity was questioned, that one has returned in full fire. That one is you. Look around you now, not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of fire. You are not standing where you used to be. This is not the same atmosphere. This is not the same posture. This is not the same you. You have walked through divine silence. You have endured spiritual exile, and you have obeyed your way into heavenly promotion. The grave could not hold your assignment. The shadows could not swallow your voice. The betrayal could not bury your identity. What was written against you has been reversed. What was locked against you has been broken. What was denied to you has now been delivered. You are protected. Not by circumstance. Not by reputation. Not by position. But by the voice of the Almighty. You are appointed. Not by man, not by popularity, but by the breath of God. You are promoted, not for show, not for ego, but for divine execution of purpose. What is upon you now cannot be measured by what's around you, because what's around you will catch up, but what's in you has already been launched. This is your sealing moment. This is the declaration etched into eternity. You are not going back. You are not dimming down. You are not making yourself smaller to fit systems that never made room for your sound. You were silenced once, but never again. You were hidden once, but now you are established. and the same heaven that watched you suffer in silence is now roaring on your behalf. The scroll is open. The fire is visible. The oil is flowing. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to wait for confirmation from places that rejected your call, because the Spirit has already spoken, and the Spirit does not whisper when it is time to release a prophet. And that's what you are now, not a wounded voice, but a weaponized word. Not a forgotten one, but a fire water. Not a shadowed vessel, but a Spirit-ignited trumpet. I bless you now in the name of the one who called you, the one who kept you, and the one who is now releasing you. I bless you with clarity, that you will know who you are and why you're here. I bless you with spiritual sensitivity, that you will hear the shift before it happens and see the gate before others recognize the path. I bless you with courage, that you will speak without shaking, that you will move without apology, that you will build without compromise. You are rising with the voice of fire, and every time you open your mouth, atmospheres will respond. Every time you walk into a space, alignment will begin. Every time you obey, doors will open without struggle, because the time of begging for recognition is over. The time of fighting to be seen is finished. This is the hour of divine visibility, but your visibility is not for status. It is for spiritual dominion. And what you build now will last too, not because of you, but because He is with you. Let this be your closing affirmation. Let this be your commandment in the Spirit. Let it echo into the realm of the unseen. I will not apologize for the fire I carry. I will not shrink for those who fear my sound. I will not stop until I have released every word heaven placed in my belly. You are walking out of this message not the same. You are walking out with fire on your shoulders, scroll in your hands, clarity in your spirit, and the full backing of heaven at your back. The voice of fire has returned, and the gates of hell will never silence it again. Rise now. Rise with conviction. Rise with heaven's decree echoing in your bones. Rise with the revelation that you are not only chosen, you are unstoppable. This is not just your moment. It is your mantle. And the mantle cannot be passed. It can only be carried. So carry it now. Walk with it. Speak from it. War through it. Build under it. Because the one who was silenced is not silenced anymore. The one who was buried has resurrected in power. The one who once whispered now roars with prophetic force. It's time. They won't be stopped. Type I have risen in the comments if this message was for you. Blessing code 5555 has sealed your new beginning with fire and favor. Let the sound go forth. Let the silence be shattered. And let every watcher know the voice has returned. And this time, it speaks for heaven.